Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Fire in His Chaos by Ruby Dixon, narrated by Noelle Bridges and Jeremy York. 1. Rachel. I wake up to just another day in Fort Dallas. My wind-up alarm clock goes off, and all four of us in the room groan. Yawning, I scrub my hand over my face and glance at the whiteboard calendar on the wall. Today's not a bathing day. Rats. I slide off my bunk, smacking my lips. Underneath my top bunk, Jenny is curled up in the bottom one, her pillow over her face. 5 minutes, she mumbles. You always say 5 minutes, Manda adds in, slightly cranky. She's always cranky before breakfast. You know the rules, I say, tapping Jenny's hip with my hand. We have to show up for inspection. Christy hops out of her bunk and stretches, then heads right out for lineup. Manda makes a face at her back, but I just shrug. Out of all of us, Christy's the most dedicated to the job. Rumor has it that she wanted to be a soldier back in the day, but then the rift happened and screwed her and everyone else out of their dreams. It's just rumor, though. Christy doesn't talk to anyone. Can't or won't. So people just speculate. Come on, I tell Jenny one last time. Panties off or they're gonna come in after them. That makes Jenny jump to her feet. I'm up, she gripes, rolling out of bed. Manda silently strips her own panties off and then hugs her arms over her chest, tugging the hem of her nightgown lower in the vain hope it'll cover everything. A louder alarm goes off just outside, this one to wake the entire barracks. It makes me race out the door, though, because I need to get to the front of the line for food. The end of the line always gets shafted, which is why I set my own alarm clock. Come on, I say to Manda and Jenny, stepping out of my own panties and scooping them up as I head out the door. The floor is cold under my feet as I head into the hall. There's door after door opening and other women coming out, so I walk faster, determined to get to the end of the hall before the line gets too long. Manda and Jenny are a few steps behind me, tugging on the hems of their shirts as we walk. I don't bother. I've only got one hand, and it's currently holding my panties for turn-in, so I let my shirt ride up, not caring if my ass hangs out. No one ever looks at my ass anyhow. I'm first in line. The soldier at the end of the hall eyes me, pulls out a Ziploc bag and tongs, and takes the panties I hand him. Period? He asks. No. He gives me a quick up and down inspection, then gestures me on through and puts a mark on his clipboard. After packing up my panties, he pulls out another baggie and turns to Manda. She meekly hands her panties over. Period? The soldier asks in the same bored voice. Not for another week. He waves her through, too. We wait for Jenny to go through inspection and then head toward the cantina. In front of the doors is another table, this one guarded by an armed soldier who smirks at us as we approach. Morning, ladies, he says with a leer. Fuck off, I say cheerfully and grab a packet of freshly laundered and plastic-bagged underwear. I pull them out and step into them, then hand over the baggie for recycling. You know the rules, he says, bored. Don't touch any underwear but your own. I make a face at him as he eyeballs Manda with far too much interest. You busy Saturday night? He asks her, grinning. I've got some extra coin and need a date. She immediately flushes and shoots me a terrified look. I grab her and pull her to my side, sliding her behind me so I can shield her as she puts her new panties on. She's not interested, fuck off. Offer stands. He eyes me and then shudders. Not for you, though. I smirk, even though I know it pulls the tight side of my mouth into a weird shape. Sometimes I hate my grotesquely scarred face, but at times like this, I'm glad these guys find me hideous. It's kept me safe all through the after. Most everyone I know has been raped or forced into prostitution, but nobody wants the ugly scarred chick with just one hand. Suits me just fine. I'll die a virgin if these creeps are my only options. No thanks, Manda says meekly, clinging to my side as Jenny hastily dresses. When we're all good to go, we enter the mess hall. A few of the soldiers eating there hoot and holler at the sight of women in nothing but a t-shirt and panties coming in for breakfast. But we ignore them. At least I do. Not just because of my scars, but because there are armed guards watching who gets a food tray. The soldiers can hoot and catcall all they want, but they know, and I know, that they're not allowed to do more than look. The strange new program we're in that feeds us and clothes us also keeps us weirdly safe. The men aren't allowed to touch us, like physically touch us, until bath day. Then some of the girls sleep around to make some coin, but once we're bathed, no one's allowed to put a hand on us. I ignore the men and usher Jenny and Manda ahead of me to get trays. Manda holds one out to me and then hesitates, and I bite back a caustic comment because I know she doesn't mean harm. It's just irritating. Thanks, I manage and put my tray down on the cafeteria tray rails as we wait to be handed food bowls. I grab silverware wrapped in a cloth napkin, grab a plastic cup and fill it with water, and then take the bowl of corn mush and tomato that's offered to me. I bend lower to balance the tray properly in my arms, but just because I only have one hand doesn't mean I'm helpless. And I hate that Manda flicks another glance at me before moving on. Even though we've both been in the program for 2 months now, she still doesn't seem to grasp that I can handle myself just fine. Ironic, because I'm always the one the others go to when they feel scared. I know she means well, that we're just looking out for each other, but it still rankles. We take our trays and head to one of the designated women's tables in the cafeteria, also watched by an armed soldier, and sit down to eat. I immediately start scooping my breakfast into my mouth, but Jenny picks at hers. I can't believe this is breakfast. Believe it, I mumble between bites. What happened to the oatmeal? Is it all gone? She makes a moue of disappointment. Breakfast should be sweet, unless it's sausage. Manda groans. Sausage. God, I miss sausage. Just eat, I tell them. Or I'll eat yours. We're eating, Jenny says quickly. I just take another bite. You can always tell which girls have had to struggle for food and which ones haven't. Jenny and her dad recently came to Fort Dallas a few months ago, she'd told me, after roughing it at a neighboring fort that ended up getting cleaned out by plague. Her father had died last month, and she'd found herself alone and facing prostitution, so she'd signed up for what we jokingly call the panty program. Manda has a similar story. She has 2 older sisters, both prostituting, who kept her safe for years. One's got 2 kids and the other is pregnant, so there are more mouths to feed. The moment the panty program came up, she joined because it was either that or start prostituting herself. There's not a lot of options for women in a fort, which sucks. Christy, no one knows her story. She just sits next to us, her head down, and shovels food into her mouth almost as quickly as I do. Me? I've been in Fort Dallas the entire time. When the rift hit and the dragons came through, I was one of the first to be attacked, and one of the few to live. They raked my face open, crushed my lower right arm, and left me for dead. My wounds got infected, and my hand and most of my lower arm was amputated. My parents abandoned me, deciding to go and fuck off to save their own hides. It took months before I was able to function again. But I lived. That's the important part. I lived, and I've made a living doing odd jobs and repairing what I can. I make my money however I can because I'm scrappy and I'm a survivor. It might be easier for a lot of women to just take money from the soldiers and spread their legs, but I've never had that option. Well, I do have that option, I suppose. It's just that I'm ugly and missing a hand. That, and I'm not offering. So what do you think the deal is with the panties? Jenny asks as she pokes her food. She always asks. It's been 2 months now, and no one knows the answer to why our panties are so meticulously collected every morning. I think a lot of us signed up for the soldiers program thinking that we were going to end up in some sort of shitty whoring situation. But no one ever touches us. No one tells us what's going on, either. We don't know why we have to hand over our panties, or why we can't bathe except on Saturdays, or why the men are threatened with death if they touch us. Everyone looks at me and I know what they're thinking. Why's this ugly scarred chick in a program if we're all being kept pure and handing off our panties? It's got to be sexual. I'm not stupid or naive enough to think it's not sexual. But I'm just as baffled as the others as to why I've been included. No one wants to touch me. My lower lip has a massive scar on it, and I've got ugly claw marks that left deep furrows across most of my face and shoulder. I've got a stump that was cauterized and has burn scars. I'm unpleasant to be around personality-wise. But I'm in the program, just like innocent Manda and cute Jenny. I guess because my scarred ass can wear a pair of panties just like anyone else. I shrug. The new lord's a pervert. He's into sniffing panties. I've heard it's a thing. Jenny leans in. I heard he's a wizard. I scoff, taking another bite. He's not a fucking wizard. Why not? There are dragons, she protests, eating. Why not wizards? I've seen him, Manda whispers, toying with her spoon. He does look creepy and kind of wizardish. I just shake my head and keep eating. Manda's not wrong. Lord Azar does look a little strange. I've only glimpsed him a few times, and each time he looked colorless, remote. Kind of like one of those elf lords in the old Lord of the Rings movies. But he keeps us safe and fed, so he can sniff my panties all he wants. Just because he looks different doesn't make him a wizard. You think it makes me one? You don't look different, Manda says sweetly. She's lying. I shoot her a look. Just eat your food. He might be a wizard, Manda says around a mouthful of gruel. Haven't the dragons stopped attacking since he showed up? Now they just hang out. It's weird, Jenny says with a shiver. I wish he'd make them leave. They're not wrong. The presence of so many dragons who don't attack is distinctly unnerving. I try not to overanalyze things, though. I can't control the dragon situation, so I try not to think about it at all. Doesn't make him a wizard. If he was, he'd be doing more wizardy shit, wouldn't he? How much more wizardy does he need to be? Jenny asks. He's controlling dragons. I hate that she's got a point. Even so, I'm not sure what a wizard would need with the panties of 36 women. After breakfast, we quickly dress in our uniforms. The women in the program are given shift dresses that are little more than simple, long, sleeveless gowns with no waist and a hem that goes to the ankle. It's like wearing a long pillowcase. And since they don't provide bras, most of us just slip the dress over our sleep shirts. We line up with the others for daily orders. One girl's whining about how she only got a few bites for breakfast. She's new. She was reluctant to hand her clothing over the other day, and I imagine that hasn't changed. She'll learn that if you want the full bowl, you show up and hand over your panties early. There's no place for modesty in a fort. I eye the soldiers that file in with envy. While we get to wear these ridiculous dress things, they're wearing crisp-looking khaki uniforms that seem freshly laundered, and pants and boots. They've even got belts. I'd kill for a damn belt and some boots. As it is, the old grubby sneakers I have are back in my quarters, and they're so patched together that the bottoms are being held together with duct tape. I'd happily wear a uniform and tote a gun, but Fort Dallas has made it very clear that the militia is a boys' club. Even with the new guy in charge, Lord Azar, the panty-collecting pervert, things haven't changed all that much. The dragon attacks have stopped. 6 blank-eyed dragons patrol the car barricade at all times. But other than that, business as usual. People still starve in the streets. People still scramble to make ends meet and to find something to trade for food. Same old shit, new master. Orders today, one of the guardsmen calls out, pulling out his clipboard and a pen. He stares at the list with boredom, then begins to mark off names. North Quadrant, Amber with Marcos, Regina with Ham, Misty with Cooperman, Janet with Smith. Any questions? When no one says a thing, he goes on, reciting the names of women in the guard that will be assigned to them today. I wait patiently for my name as he goes through the east and then west. South Quadrant, he calls out finally. Crystal with Burr, Rachel with Brady, Jenny with Quinn. I flinch, glancing over at Brady, my least favorite person in the world. He's leering in my direction, clearly pleased with the day's assignment. Ugh.
Assignment is as usual.
The guardsman with the clipboard calls out.
Scout the perimeter. Look for scavenged materials. Report back on what you find. Dismissed.
There's a low murmur of conversation as women pair up with their guard for the day. Jenny and Manda shoot me sympathetic looks because they know I've been stuck with the absolute worst of all guards, and I get to spend the day alone with him. Some days I think this program isn't worth it, no matter that they give me 2 meals a day and a safe place to sleep. Most of those days are Brady days. I hate Brady so much. He approaches me, all swagger, his hand on his gun belt.
You ready to head out, Scarface?
Hot loathing rushes through me. You know my name.
I do.
Brady leans forward.
But would you rather me call you Stumpy or Scarface? Because we can go with Stumpy.
Funny, I thought that was your nickname, I say sweetly. And no, I'm not ready. I need to get my shoes.
Make it fast then, Scarface. We don't have all day. I'll meet you out by the bikes.
I grit my teeth and walk back to my quarters. I can put up with this. I can. The men are on rotation, and it's just bad luck that I got stuck with Brady today. I won't have him tomorrow. It's just another shitty day out of many. I can endure it. I put my shoes on, lace them up, and then head outside where the militia's bikes are kept.
So, can I ask you a question, Scarface?
Brady asks when I return, a glare on my face. No, I say flatly.
How's a stump-armed girl like you lace your shoes up?
Fuck you. Are we going or not?
You pay someone to do it for you?
I hate him. I hate him so much. I ignore his words because I lace my shoes just like anyone else. I'm missing a hand, that's it. I'm not useless like he pretends I am. I do everything he does. Well, maybe not everything, I think with a sneer. He probably jerks off a lot. Are we going or not? I grab the bicycle I normally use for the daily excursions and swing my leg over the seat, hiking my potato sack skirts up so I can pedal. It was probably a kid's bike at some point, but it's been rigged with satchels along the back and sides so it can carry stuff, and there's a basket at the handlebars. Without gasoline to power cars, bicycles have become pretty important for travel, and I have to admit that I like riding one. Some days I think about just riding off into the sunset and never coming back, except there's nowhere to go. Brady pulls on his thick gloves before he approaches his own bike.
You need me to hold your handlebars for you, Scarface?
Fuck you, I say calmly again. He knows I don't. I lean forward and steer with my stump when my right side needs to guide the bike. Are you going to keep talking, or are we leaving?
So feisty. That how you got your scar?
I grit my teeth and kick the kickstand up, riding forward without him. He just laughs and follows behind me. 2. Rachel. While I might not like a lot of the aspects of the program, I love being able to go outside the walls. I've spent the last 7 years trapped in the stinking slums of Fort Dallas, so any excuse to go outside the walls is a wonderful one for me. Initially, the streets leading up to the fort are full of mud and filth, trash that no one's around to pick up, and the bodies of dead animals and the remains of old garbage bags in discarded containers. It's a disgusting muck that looks foul and smells worse. Lording over the barrier are a half-dozen blank-eyed golden dragons, and I shiver uneasily as we ride under them. For some reason, Azar has control over them. I don't know how or why, just that their presence has stopped the dragon attacks. After a few days of terror, everyone just kind of got used to them being around again. We adapt quickly, I guess. As I ride farther away from Fort Dallas, it gets progressively cleaner. The streets are broken and uneven, chunks of concrete pushed up by the roots of sprouting trees or insistent weeds. The air is fresh, the breeze is getting cooler by the day as the Texas summer turns toward autumn, and there are birds flying overhead. As we go farther out, I see more wildlife, Squirrels, the occasional coyote, rabbits, and even a few wild chickens that dart in and out of broken buildings. We bike farther, weaving between the broken cars on an overpass as we head toward our destination. There are certain areas that are designated as safe zones, and we go to the same ones every time. I don't understand it. After all, if we're being sent on scavenging runs, wouldn't it make more sense to have us go to new areas instead of the same ones over and over again? But the soldiers say that Lord Azar's rules are clear. Me? I don't think a lot of the rules of this program are clear, but I go along with it anyhow. By the time we've ridden to our destination, I'm sweaty and my legs are aching from the ride. I stop my bike, panting, and eye my surroundings. Here, there's endless clusters of smaller buildings crowding along the roads. It's a housing area, except most of the houses have been neglected or destroyed entirely. So many of them are nothing but half-charred remains of themselves, and others have roofs that are sagging in. As much as I hate Brady, I like scavenging in the South. I love seeing what's been left behind, and my mind comes up with all kinds of fascinating stories of the people that once lived here. Where did they all go when the dragons came? Are any of them still living in Fort Dallas now, or are they all dead? What killed them? Famine? Sickness? Dragon flame? Brady parks his bike next to mine. He reaches out and pokes my arm with the end of his rifle. I shrug away in irritation and add another death to that list. Death by asshole with gun? Stop it. That's dangerous. He slings his gun back over his arm and reaches out and pokes me with his gloved finger instead.
You sure are irritable, Scarface.
You're not supposed to touch me, I remind him. Gloves or not, the rules are clear.
Relax, I'm just poking you.
He gives me an easy grin that makes my skin crawl and regards me.
I brought extra gloves, you know. Well, just one because I knew I was with you.
I glare at him mutinously and put the kickstand up on my bike, dismounting. I need to get started.
I think you should give me a hand job. I'll talk to the cook. Make sure you get some extra food in your portion tonight.
And he just grins at me, like he's giving me a great offer. A cold prickle works down my spine, but I keep the defiant look on my face. I open one of the packs and pull out the empty backpack provided to help me scavenge and the sack lunch that's been sent for me. You don't touch me, I don't touch you. Those are the rules. You're just here to keep me safe. I throw the word back in his face.
No one's touching anyone. That's why we have gloves.
He lifts his chin at my bad arm.
I'll even let you use your stump.
Fuck you. I spit at him, storming away.
Stay close,
he calls out in a bored voice.
You know where I'll be.
I'm fuming as I storm toward the nearest house, pack in tow. Brady always makes gross propositions. It starts out like this. Name-calling and reminding me how ugly I am. And then the moment we get out of the city, he makes lewd suggestions. They never touch us, of course. Not until Saturday night, and only the girls that want to make a few extra coins. Or portions of food on the side. I could go to the soldier in charge of the program. I guess he's an officer, though the militia doesn't really have officers as much as they just all report to Lord Azar. I could complain about Brady, how he's constantly making disgusting comments at me, how he touched me with a gloved hand even though he's not supposed to. None of them are allowed to touch us for some weird reason we haven't been told. But we both know I won't say a thing. Brady's popular with the other soldiers. They're all friendly and stick together. Me, I'm a scarred, unpleasant girl who has few friends. If I get Brady in trouble, then I'll have problems with all the guards, no matter who gets assigned to me that day. I know better. So as long as Brady doesn't do more than call me names or poke me with a gloved finger, I ignore it. Jaw clenched, I storm toward the first house, trying the door. At least now that we're here, I'll have the next while to myself. Brady stays by the bikes to guard them, and I'm supposed to stay in close proximity so he can help me if I get attacked by anything. There's nothing in this area but the occasional coyote, though. Even nomads know not to come this close to Fort Dallas, Any people that would have lived here are long gone, so it's just alone time. I get to pick through the ruins and enjoy the rest of my exploration without Brady. If I go back to the bikes, I know he'll be there, sitting in the cab of a nearby car with his feet kicked up, flipping through an old porn magazine or something. As guards go, he's pretty much the worst one when it comes to keeping an eye on his charge. Which means I'm going to explore further than I probably should, just because I can. There's nothing good to scavenge in the areas we're taken to. We go to them over and over again, and yet the soldiers won't let us scavenge further. One of the girls speculated that we're not being sent out to scavenge at all, but if that's the case, why are we being taken out? It doesn't make sense. None of it does. The panties, the gloves, none of it. I stopped asking questions a while back, though. No one's going to give us answers, and no one's hurting us, so it beats what I did in the past. I think of the trade tent I worked at before this, and how I had a small space to sleep in the back. How I'd sit all day long soldering and scraping rust and trying to repair things enough for Tinker to sell them. He'd give me a few scraps for my dinner and tell me to work harder, or he'd kick me out on the street and give my spot to someone else. So I worked harder, and I hated him for profiting off of all my hard work. Every time I fixed one of the bicycles he sold to the militia, my gut burned with frustration. Every time I scraped the rust off of a dozen cast-iron pans and he sold them at a profit, I grew angrier. Every time I traded someone on the sly for an item I could repair on my own and try to make a few coins, Tinker would inevitably find it and steal it from me, telling me that it paid for my dinner. Life isn't fair inside a fort. Maybe that's why I love being outside of it so much. Here, in an abandoned house, I can dream of escaping all of this. Of just getting away. Of riding the bicycle far, far away and never coming back. I close my eyes and sigh because I know how that dream ends. It ends with starvation and possible rape. It ends with a dragon finding me and killing me, or a nomad, or a wild animal. It ends with Manda and Jenny getting taken advantage of by one of the soldiers, and I've promised to look out for them. They're my new family, and they're both so laughably innocent despite everything that I feel it's my job to protect them. Putting my dreams aside, I get to work. It's hours before I realize that the sun is high in the sky and my stomach is growling. I look up from the box of broken, rusted tools I'm carefully picking through, trying to determine if there's anything worth saving. Stuff with a cord is useless because there's no electricity in the after. I do find an old electric chainsaw, and I spend some time trying to figure out the proper way to remove the blade and if the chain can be used for anything. I'm sweaty and covered in grease by the time I give up and step outside of the garage for a breeze. Brady came by to check on me once, but I imagine he's taking a nap somewhere in a car. Nearby, my pack is bulging with all kinds of useful goodies. An old plastic butter tub that can be repurposed, a ball of twine, a roll of duct tape, several tarnished forks and knives that can be cleaned up and made new provided I can find some polish. My bag is full of bits and pieces, and out of every 10 items I find, the militia lets me keep one to sell on my own, or to keep. It's another reason I don't mind scavenging runs. I'd rather make money cleaning old metal forks than spreading my legs for anyone that'd want to take a turn on Scarface. I'm starving, and a glance at the sky shows me that it's definitely past lunchtime. There's a ladder propped up against the collapsed roof of the house I just came out of, and it's been there so long that there's grooves in the dirt, and vines have twined around the steps. I climb as high as I can go safely and peer out in the direction of the bikes, and sure enough, a distant Brady is sprawled in a truck bed, his cap pulled down over his eyes. Nap time. That means exploring time for me. I climb back down off the ladder quickly and leave my pack behind. It's too full to tote around with me, and if I find anything decent, I'll just come back for it. For now, though, I'm just more interested in having a look around. Humming to myself, I cross through the streets and cut over old backyards, wooden fences having fallen down ages ago. There's a few charred swaths that tell me a dragon came through here at some point, but grass is sprouting once more, so it's been a while. Even though I've been out to this area several times.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?